Hey everyone, this is Nelson Ariabor with How's Your Wine. You can find me on Instagram as well, How's Your Wine, of course. This YouTube channel was dedicated to learn more about the journeys of others in the wine industry. And today, I'm happy to introduce Caitlyn Caroline Wiley, who is at Caroline and Vine on Instagram. And she'll discuss her journey in the wine industry, being from Detroit, her personal growth over the last year, and some other fun tidbits about her. So I'm hopeful that you guys enjoy this episode. Continue to give me the feedback and ways to improve. I definitely appreciate that. And let's go. Let's get it.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlyn Caroline. I am a wine enthusiast, wine blogger, and I go by Caroline and Vine on Instagram. And I'm excited to see where my wine journey takes me.
For sure. So I want to start off this episode with a couple of quick hitters just so we can kind of get people to know you a little bit better. So we'll play a game of this or that. All right.
Okay.
All right. So first is, do you like reds or whites?
Do I have to pick one?
You have to pick one.
Red.
Reds. Okay. And why reds?
Because I think there's more variety in reds. Michigan, we have all four seasons, and I kind of like to change my wine depending on the season. So if I want a Pinot Noir, I can do that in the summer. If I want like a deep Cabernet Sauvignon, I can have that in the winter.
All right. So the variety is why you like the reds.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. Next, do you like crackers or cheeses?
Cheese.
Cheese. And why is that?
Easy. What is a cracker? It's just like dry. Like cheese is just better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you like wine bars or wine vineyards?
Oh, we'll have to do wine bars because I
Wine
think that
bars.
there's more like personal interaction at wine bars. Like you're talking to more people, it gets more casual. But vineyards are this beautiful, peaceful oasis type thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. And then last question, do you like dinner dates or low-key lunches?
Dinner dates.
Dinner dates. And why is that?
Well, part of the reason I fell in love with wine was because of having really good dinner dates. Having the som come out and pair the food, it's so artistic and intimate. And then any excuse to get dressed up, like I'm there. Say the word.
Facts. All right. So you kind of dropped a hint to the people who may not know you. You said Michigan. What part of Michigan are you from?
I am from the suburbs of Detroit. I'm in a city called Farmington Hills.
Cool. And then you've been there your whole life?
No, so I was born here. When I was a little baby, my family did, we did our Mecca to Atlanta, as people do. We were there for about 6 or 7 years. And then we came back up to Michigan where I finished out my school. And then in college, I moved to Chicago. And then I came back here after college.
So how was it like moving around that frequently? Obviously now you're back in Michigan. Like explain that experience to people.
It was fine. I mean, I like being in new places. I enjoy meeting new people. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. So I see it as an advantage. And even though I moved a bit, I had a lot of stability, right? So when I was a little kid, I was in Atlanta. I had my formative years there, but I don't really remember it that much. And then all throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, I was here. I was by my family. And then, I did a little college thing in Chicago, which was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah.
And now I'm back. And Detroit, and actually it's cool because now that I'm back in Detroit, it's actually on the rise again. So as I build my career, it's like I'm growing with the city, which is nice.
So for you, like knowing that Detroit is like growing now and you weren't in Detroit, obviously during like the economic turmoil in like 2008, like what does that feel like for you as you're climbing in the wine space and now Detroit's on the rise again?
It's just, so Detroit's so different. So I was here in 2008. I was in like middle school or something like that. And it was such a completely different environment. Like you just didn't, like it wasn't alive. Detroit has a problem with people not actually living here. So it'd just be a lot of dead spaces. You didn't really hang out in Detroit. I mean, you hung out in the neighborhoods. Like there's little neighborhoods like every city has where you go, your cousin lives there or whatever. But now you can actually go downtown and you can spend an entire weekend there. People vacation in Detroit, which is wild to me. They didn't do that when I was growing up. I was like, really? You went to Detroit? But like, I get it now because I've been, spending so much time in the area. So seeing the transformation is really inspiring because I want to be a part of the transformation. And I mean, you also have to open your eyes and see like Detroit is a very segregated city. So you see a transformation, but who's it transforming for and who's actually in charge?
Hmm.
So seeing a lot of people in color, other marginalized communities be able to get the chance to be part of that revitalization is inspiring to me and it's motivating to me. And it's also it's like I feel like I'm sitting in the middle of history, like I'm watching history happen. So it's exciting. Or like a positive history. 2008 was also historical, but
Right.
you voluntarily lived through that.
Yeah, that's big time. So other than, being from Detroit and growing up now in this city, um, who is like your biggest motivating factor for you to like continue and excel in this wine journey?
Hmm, good question. I don't know if I can pick just one person
Or
because
You
it's
you drop as many people as you want.
yeah. So of course my mom is a big influence. She always pushed me. I mean, she was the one that was like, "You can't even go to school in Michigan. You got to get out. You got to do something different." I see that in you. That was incredible. Um, and then I work in the wine industry. I have so many different people that are mentoring me, different wine experts and business leaders. I have at the company I work for, my full time job, I work for a female CEO, entrepreneur who inspires me. So I feel
Mhm.
like I'm getting inspiration from literally every corner of my life. And it's nice to have people that see potential in you and that are investing into you and that are just supporting me in my journey. And yeah, and it's like I owe it to them, but also it's like I want to be like you.
That's real. So one thing that we have in common that we kind of connected on like recently is now that we're Roots Fund scholars. So
Hey.
a so explain like how you found out about the Roots Fund and what you're looking to get the most out of the Roots Fund.
Yeah, so I found out about the Roots Fund. Well, on Instagram, I just seen it, and I wasn't really familiar with it. I thought it was just a scholarship for like WSET 1 and 2, but I had already done those by the time I saw it.
Hmm.
But then I actually met a couple of Roots scholars. Um, I contacted with them personally. So I met Tish Wiggins when she came to House of Pure Vin in Detroit. I met her there, and she really encouraged me. And she's cool. She's really established in her wine entrepreneur journey. So that was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm trying to be like Tish. And then there was also Nikki on Instagram reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, have you thought about this?" I was like, "All right, maybe I should look more into this." And I
Hmm.
learned about the mentor program. So when I saw that the Roots Fund had a mentor program, I was like, "All right, I may have already taken my W sets, but there's still a community I can be a part of. It's way more than just like a passive scholarship. It's a network. It's you have like advocates and friendships and resources. And I know that I am interested in being in the business side of wine. I'm trying to find my niche, my little entrepreneurship niche that I can take it and just shoot for the stars. And I think the Roots Fund is a great opportunity for me to network. It's like on a social level, just make friends, but also get
Yeah.
that business mentorship, get exposure to the different opportunities. And just like it's like opening a door to the world of possibilities.
So when you talk about shooting for the stars, like what does that look like for you?
See, I don't even know. Like the thing, I have so many ideas in my head. I'm like, all right, Caitlin, sit down and see what is actually possible. Because
Uh-huh.
if I had my way, I would like multiply myself. It's like a million different people and work on a million different projects. Like Fate, I just saw Black Adam, like his character in the DC. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
that, but I was like, man, I
Yeah.
wish I had that power. So yeah, I think that mentorship would be really powerful for me because it can help me prioritize and strategize.
Hmm.
I'm really looking for something that has a lot of wisdom in making decisions and has practiced saying no to things that can help me approach things with like more clarity. So I'm trying to figure out what my journey is going to look like.
With that being said, like what is your biggest fear of like maybe not having the full clarity right now or having so much like so many ideas that you really want to see pop off?
Yeah, my biggest fear is that I'll be on this one journey and like I won't see like anything to fruition. Because I think that even though they say, the journey is like what you're like, that's like, it's not the end you're going for, it's the journey you're going for. I still want to know that I accomplished something, that I finished something, and that I
Hmm.
impact other people. So if I'm never able to have that impact on other people because I never actually finished anything, I would feel disappointed in myself.
And that's a tough emotion to feel, especially with like so much ahead of you, right? Because you're really absorbing all the mentorship, but also now you want to like give back to people behind you as well. So I definitely commend you for like all that. That's real.
Mm.
Um, so with the journey and then obviously, biggest fears, like what do you feel like is, in your own words, would best describe your growth in 2022?
Yeah, 'cause we are coming in November.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm, like almost done. Hmm. I think in 2022, I'm starting to see things that are allowing me to recognize like where my weaknesses are. So, like, I see that I kind of take on too much at once, and then I can't give 100% to something. I see that I mean, I think that's really it. It's like I kind of split myself in too many directions and like multiple aspects of my life. So, being able to see where my flaws are and then being able to find resources that can help me find an action plan to address it, my business life, my professional goals,
Hmm.
even like my wine studies, my personal life, that seems to be a common theme for me. But seeing that flaw and trying to find a way to address it has been really important for me this year.
And how has that changed since maybe this time last year? Like what has clicked for you?
Yeah, so this time last year, I was like, well, Caitlin, just get it done. Like, what do you mean? Like, why do you have so many excuses? Like, if you have 10 things to do, then you need to do 10 things.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, Carol, why are you tripping? It's not a big of a deal. Calm down. um, like life is something I've been trying to tell myself is everything is a gift. So you have to savor and appreciate things instead of trying to hustle and just accomplish, accomplish, accomplish. It's okay
Hmm.
to sit back and enjoy. It's okay to struggle and learn. It's all part of the process. So, I mean, it's relieving. I mean, it's humbling to see these things in myself, but it's also relieving to know that, I don't have to be that stressed.
Hmm. Where do you think you've got that, whether it's your experience or from like your mentors, like where did you get that like sense of, okay, it's really time to calm down and pause for a little bit?
I think talking to people a lot more. So I've had to explain like I think I've just met a lot of new people. So, people ask like, "Who are you?" And I'm no longer like, "Well, I'm a student," or like um in this I want to define myself outside of like what I'm doing. I'm trying to form more like personal relationships on a deeper than a surface level.
Hmm.
So with me having to do that, I have to take a step back and think and saying like I literally was like, dang, I really define myself by what I do. I want to be more than that, than just what I do. Like, who am I at my core? What do I value? What am I prioritizing? When I'm going into my relationships with other people, when I'm trying to see what I can contribute to my different organizations or my bigger goals, what's my core?
Hmm.
So I think just meeting a lot of new people and really evaluating how I introduce myself
Yeah.
has got me thinking like, girl, now.
um, that's a hell of an answer for real. What does that look like when you're, at your wine tastings or, whether you're meeting people out in Detroit? Like, what does that feel like when you're slowing down and pausing and really trying to establish those deeper relationships?
It's more fun. um, so I guess I open myself up to more things. Naturally, I'm an introvert, so I know that like my social battery runs out. But yeah, I mean, even when you were like, let's meet at 8 p.m., I was like, ooh, no, it's fine. But when I'm slowing down and actually making time for, I like prioritize my values,
Hmm.
I have more happiness in my life. I'm enjoying time with people and savoring experiences. And it's a lot like wine. Like, remember you had your first glass of wine and you were just like, all right, cool. And you're like, next one, next one, next one.
Right.
But now, like, you sit there and you can literally spend like 30 minutes on one
The
glass just
same
savoring.
glass.
Hmm.
I don't mind babysitting my glasses anymore.
Absolutely, not at all.
Not
Where's
at
your glass,
all.
by the way?
My glass is somewhere over yonder. It's
Okay.
over there. I need to clean it out. Yeah, yeah. What are you sipping on tonight?
This is Michigan wine. Here, let me
You
show
love
you.
that Michigan wine. You got a rep.
I got a rep. This is a Cabernet Franc from Marland. It's actually can you see it on the camera?
Yeah.
Off my camera because it's awkward looking at yourself. Um, First, I like the label. I think they did a good job with the colors. Are kind of like they pop, but they're a little muted. The design is nice, but Cabernet Franc is surprisingly good. When I think Michigan, I don't think the grapes like Cab Sauv or whatever, but this is nice. Nice fruit flavors. It's smooth. It's really nice for winter. So I'm appreciating this wine right now.
Bet. While you take that sip, let's go to your IG, your social media world. It's Caroline and Vine.
Hmm.
Um, you have this thing called Wine World Wednesdays.
Hmm.
Where did you get this
Yeah.
idea from?
Wine Weird Wednesdays. It comes from two places. One is from me being at restaurants and wanting to order a wine, but I don't know how to say it. So sometimes I just wouldn't order it. I was like, why am I missing out on wines? Like that's corny. I
I
should
hate
just get
that
what I
feeling.
want.
I hate
You
that
know?
feeling.
Yeah, because there's like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, let me just educate myself instead of missing out. And then secondly, people will come to the wine shop that I work at and then they won't know how to pronounce something. So maybe they won't say it. Or like, so rose is such a big one. Like they'll say, I want a rose wine, rose wine. I'm like, okay, you want a note with rose flavors in it? They're like, no, rose. I'm like, oh, rose. I'm like, duh. So I think just having like a common vocabulary is
Yeah.
important because it gives us all like we know what we're all talking about. So I think it just helps people to like speak the same language so you can get what you want.
Yeah, I think for you, like especially in like an area like Detroit where it's a very diverse population, like you mentioned earlier, it's a segregated population. A lot of times, like wine and the pronunciations are different, from everybody.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I love
And I
how you're
got
able to
tired of
relate.
people saying charcuterie wrong. I was like, you've heard people say it, right? Like, that's not how you say it. That's not how that goes. That's not how you say that.
No, yeah, I don't even want to say it on camera because I might mess it up, and you might just critique me. But
But I'm sure you've heard the one that I'm like, come on, yeah. Look
yeah,
at in the eye, be like, I'm like, no.
they just want to make something out of nothing.
They
That's
do. They think it's funny. I'm like, all right. Anyway.
so Detroit is not typically known as like, or like Michigan is not typically known as like a big wine community, as far as I know. But explain to people who are watching that aren't from or familiar with Detroit and Michigan what that culture is like out there.
Yeah, I think Michigan wine culture in Detroit specifically is growing. We have a lot of wine shops popping up. And then I think with just like this middle class growing in Detroit, people just have more excess money, they have more leisure versus 20 years ago, they're exploring wines. And then the wine culture in so the Traverse City area, which let me pull out my map, like right here,
Uh
over
huh.
by Lake Michigan, you got Chicago over here. Has is like that's our wine country. And I think that there's a lot more tourism going up there from the Detroit area. So people are looking more into Michigan wines. As a result, I think generally people in Michigan are looking towards more sweet wines, or they're looking for Rieslings, some Chardonnays, Pinot Noirs, which Michigan can make very well. But then as we have more wine shops pop up in the Detroit area, people are also exploring non-Michigan wines, which really takes you literally around the world. So it's definitely like a growing obsession in Michigan, I'd say.
Real. I like how you pull up the map. I was thinking you would actually get like a real map, but you got your hand out because Michigan's got the
Yeah.
little. That's okay. Well done. Well done. A couple more questions. I know it's past your bedtime. I know you gotta charge the batteries again. So, how did you meet your Detroit homies in the wine space? Like, how did you connect with those people?
So one is by working at House of Pure Vin. So it's a wine shop in Detroit, Michigan. And another is by Instagram. So some people I've been chatting with over Instagram. We haven't actually met yet, but there's so many different ways to connect these days. And it's
Hmm.
like I'm pleasantly surprised by how many wine people are actually in my city. It's been really beautiful to see that, people that share my passion are, super close.
That's awesome. That's definitely goals, especially for anybody that's not from like a bigger wine town or like wine
Mhm.
metroplex. That's what's up. Last question for you. We're gonna close it out. If you could have one varietal of wine for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Just one.
Just one. Well, I'll give you a red and a white. How about that?
Okay. Then I would say Chardonnay and Pinot Noir because Chardonnay, you can make it so many different ways, including champagne. Yes, gotta have that in there. And then Pinot Noir, of course, is also in champagne, but you can have it be lighter bodied, oak it or whatever, and have more of a variety. So that's my cheat. I'm just gonna pick one
Okay.
that red, white, rosé, sparkling, all across the gamut.
Strategic. Strategic. All right. Um, Well, thanks again for jumping on. Full transparency, this is the second time we recorded. The first time I had some technical difficulties, but she was gracious enough to join again. So definitely much love to her. Let the people know where they can follow you at and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Caroline and Vine. You can find me at email, carolineandvine@gmail.com. You can check out my website, carolineandvine.com. I have a blog, What the Experts Know. Give you some information. Yeah, it's fun. It's like my think pieces on wine.
There you go.
You want some light reading?
There
you can find me in those places.
That's the bet. Well, thanks again for joining. Again, connect with her on Instagram, follow her on her website, everything, support her. And if you're in the Detroit area, give her a shout. So y'all show some love, and thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it, y'all.